We're 11-7 on Big Mountain Ice Cold Locks. Let's see how we did this week.
Week 5 is in the books, and we're back on the Big Mountain, where we bring you a fresh perspective on the Big Ten and the Mountain West.
Hey, it's great to have you again. Here we are, the end of Week 5. Didn't go quite as well on the mountain here as it did in Weeks 3 or 4, but you're going to have that, some ups and downs. We're still way up here on the season. Hopefully you guys are too. We're going to do things a little differently. If you've seen our rapid reactions before, we're really going to just focus on our locks here. We're not going to go game over game over game. If they were losses, they were losses, whoop-de-doo. But we do want to break down our locks. We were 2-2 for this week. Steve got his one lock, so he was 1-0. I was 1-2. So let's start with you, Steve. You hit your Maryland lock. What do you have to say there?
Yeah, so I was really happy. We both thought that Maryland line was crazy. They were 14.5 favorites over Indiana, easily covered, hit another lock. I think I'm 7-1 on my 7-0 on my Big Ten locks for this year.
Right.
7-1 overall on my ice Big Mountain Ice Cold locks. I did also have two other winners. Penn State covered again. They covered that 24.5 early line, but they also covered that 27.5,
right,
which is where it was the day we did our picks. So
yes,
there's something like 9 or 10 in a row.
Yep.
Penn State covering the spread. Which is great.
Little worried there for a bit, but they pulled her out right in the end. And as you've always said,
great teams
cover. And I say great teams go above expectations.
Exactly.
And they're doing it again.
And I'm convinced James Franklin knows what the spread is. He put the backups in. They did a little fake run and threw a touchdown to cover to hit both of those. It was fantastic. So
awesome.
Yeah. So this week we kind of went against the grain. We had been picking Michigan all year to not cover, and I said this was the week they're going to get off that. They're going to break it. They're going to cover that 17.5 points against Nebraska, and boy, did they. They had a great game, easily covered, dominated that game. They're really starting to show, Michigan's starting to show what they got on offense and defense, so they covered. So overall, I was 3-3 overall, but I hit another one of my locks.
Perfect.
So I hope I made some people some money.
That's right, and I just got to say, we did a power rankings video about a week ago, and I had Michigan as number one. Power rankings for Big Ten, Mountain West, and about half of the Pac-12 teams. I had them high. I was happy for terms of betting and in terms of my power rankings. I was happy to see Michigan do well because I do think they are the top team, at least right now, in those two conferences plus the 6 Pac-12. So let's get into mine. We'll go to the win first, and that's the Texas State Bobcats. Up huge at halftime. I texted Steve and just said, hey, we're looking good, but it's only at the half. Then they scared me come the second half. It got pretty close there, but they got the late touchdown. They covered easily. They have a very strong offense. I mentioned that in our pick video. That's why I locked that pick. And there they are scoring their points to make sure we hit that lock. So that was the lock that hit for me. Likely be following them here over the course of the season as well. It's funny. I was going to text you. I actually had 3 Sun Belt teams that I picked this past week. Georgia State, unfortunately, did not win for me. But it wasn't a lock. But they had a loss. I still like that team. The loss that I just scratched my head out here with our locks was the Utah State game. They went up to UConn. Yeah, I get it. They're playing noon at UConn, which for Utah State, it's 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. for them. It's a little rough, and they have been habitually slow starters, so I wasn't too surprised they went down early, and they did. They got a late touchdown in the second quarter, a little bit of Mo going into the halftime, and they look great in the third quarter. I'm thinking, here we go. They're doing what they do. They're coming back. Just didn't cover. I was actually hoping it would go to overtime so that maybe we can get that cover in overtime. But UConn just played out their ass. I said that in the text. The first half was stupid. I mean, it was frustrating to watch because of just they were getting just kind of, I don't want to say lucky. I mean, they were playing well, but I still scratched my head at that. I thought for sure, which is the reason I locked it, Utah State was a sure win there at 5.5. It actually was up and down. That line was moving all over the place. It was 6.5 when we did our picks video. It was actually 4.5 the day of the game on Saturday morning. So obviously people were all over the place in that. I still think Utah State should have absolutely covered that line, but it didn't, and I own it. The one that I will eat crow on here was the lock that I did with the Fresno and Nevada game in terms of them being over. I had both of these teams being 10 points more than where they ended up. Nevada only scored 19. They were coming into the game pretty high on offense. They had been scoring really, really well, but I knew we were maybe in trouble. I watched the beginning, and Nevada drove the field, and they had the ball for damn near 8-9 minutes.
Yeah, long drive. Took a lot of time off the clock.
No points.
Nothing out of it.
0-0 after all of that. And I like, oh, geez, this isn't good for the over, and it wasn't. So, I'll eat crow on that. That didn't go my way. Some of the wins for us, UNLV, still doing what they do, looking really strong. And Air Force, again, just
destroyed.
Putting up a monster number again against a San Diego State defense that I have ranked as one of the best in the Mountain West.
Yes.
And they're throwing the ball now.
Yeah, most points San Diego State's given up this year, I think.
Yeah, and look out. If Air Force feels like they can throw the ball now, good gracious. They're going to win this Mountain West. I had them as number 2 in our preview episode, but they are looking extremely strong right now. And this is a San Diego State team that, yes, I know their record isn't great, but they are a good team.
Yes,
so,
I think I predicted in our picks episode that they're going to come out of this as a pretty solid 2-4 team, and that's where they're sitting.
That is where they're sitting. Yeah. So, hey, I did want to just touch base. I did 3 game day picks. Went 1 and 2 on that. The one that hit was the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
They covered. I had them at 19.5. I went to Appalachian State at minus 13.5. They won the game, but barely.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a surprise for me, obviously. And Washington versus Arizona.
I thought for sure they were going to cover.
Yeah, you and I talked about that. If you saw it, I know we didn't have a lot of views on the game day picks this week, but I took Washington at minus 19.5 touchdown there. So.
Yeah. I'll say I watched a lot of that game.
Okay.
Washington still looked really good. I think they kind of showed people they can win in different ways because they actually ran the ball a little bit more.
Okay.
They were a little. Penix was very efficient throwing the ball, but it wasn't that just flying down the field, bombing every series. I think they just kind of decided, hey, we're going to win a different way this week. So it changed the scoring, and I was shocked they didn't cover. I bet that one myself.
Yeah.
And, I was disappointed in Washington.
So, hey, a little bit. Obviously, we were under 500 on the week, not dramatically. We were 500 on our locks, so we're continuing our strong locks here, even at 500. We didn't have a losing week. So, hey, we're going to put those slides up again. We'll show you where we were at for week 5 here. And then we'll also go right into our cumulative. As you've maybe seen before, we're keeping record of both Steve and me over the course of the season, show you where we're at, both in terms of all of our locks and all of our picks thus far. So here they are. All right, that's where we stand after 5 weeks. And if you've been watching our rapid reactions or our pick shows, we like to take early line picks. Steve, you have any for us this week?
JY, I'm always texting you Sunday morning with some early lines. And this morning, I texted you. FanDuel actually had Maryland plus 19.5 at Ohio State.
It's a lot of points.
Loved it, and I took it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we checked right before we started recording, and FanDuel is still offering Maryland plus 18.5 at Ohio State. It's going to be the big noon game. I love it. I mean, I think Ohio State is the better team, and Ohio State will win. But Maryland, their scoring offense, they're one of the best scoring offenses in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Talia is just on fire. So I love them getting all those points. So my early line pick is Maryland plus 18.5 at Ohio State. Feel really good about that.
And Steve was 2-0 in his early lines last week. So if you need confidence, he knows what he's talking about. As he said, he loves this early line stuff. 2-0 last week. He's giving you one this week. Take a good look if you like Maryland getting a decent amount of points. 18.5 is a chunk of points there.
And I think that line's going to keep dropping really throughout the week. So
yep.
if you want to get on those 18.5, do it now.
Yep, and I'm going to give 2, Steve.
Okay.
And these are teams I'm surprised they're getting points in these games. So if you're going to give me points in what I would consider to be the favorite, I'll take them all day, every day. So I'm going to give 2 early line picks. The first one is a Mountain West game.
Okay.
It's Colorado State at Utah State.
Okay.
I do have them fairly close, fairly similar. Utah State does have a good offense, but their defense is undersized. And you saw what Colorado State was able to do versus Colorado against a very high-scoring offense. I mean, Utah State has a good offense. It's not Colorado's offense.
Right.
So, and they stayed right with them. Right now, Colorado State is getting 1.5 points Give me that all day, every day, and twice on early pick lines. I am taking Colorado State plus 1.5 versus Utah State.
I love it. I think I'm going to grab that as soon as we're done.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're getting. I could see this being flip flop.
Yes.
I would think Colorado State was giving 1.5.
1.5, 2, 2.5.
Yeah, to me, this line is flip flopped of what I would say. And the next one, honestly, is kind of flip flop for me too. And over the course of the day, we've been getting more points for this next team.
Yes.
Which really surprises me. I'm very high on the Cougars of Washington State. I took them here this past week, and or I guess it was 2 weeks ago when they beat Oregon. I'm sorry, it was 2 weeks ago they beat Oregon State at home. They have a very strong offense. They have a very strong team overall. They're getting 3.5 at UCLA. Okay, it's at UCLA, but I think Washington State is by far the better team here. Again, I'm surprised they're getting the points in this game. Give me the 3.5, and I am on Washington State big time in this game.
Playing at UCLA is nothing like playing at Pullman, Washington.
Absolutely.
UCLA gets like 20,000 fans in there. It's sometimes it's a ghost town. Maybe it'll be up for this game.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I agree with you. I love it.
So I like, frankly, here I like what I would consider two favorites getting points, and so they will be my early line picks, both Colorado State and Washington State.
All right.
So, hey, we thank you for tuning in here on our Rapid Reaction Week 5 video. We have a lot of stuff geared up for you. We have 2 expansion videos coming out really soon. One's going to be Big Ten ACC focused. Another one's going to be a follow-up to the Pac-12 Oregon State, Washington State expansion that we've really been focused on. There's a date set now in that in terms of the legal proceedings, so we want to do an update on that. And of course, we're going to have our Week 6 picks coming out. We're going to try to get that dropped early on Thursday morning. Make sure we get them out to you guys a little bit sooner. And with that, hey, we got a lot of good things happening. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.